Oi! What is going on, everybody? Look at how ready Smooth Jimmy is over there. I'm definitely ready to do this. It is time for another episode of Balls Deep Breakdown with me, your host, Uncle Weezy. We've got a really good one here at UFC 265, and I picked out one of the best fights for this card. There is a wide line on this fight. We are going to be talking about Bobby King Green versus the fighting pride of Kyrgyzstan, Rafael Fisiev. Can't wait to get into the stats here with you guys, to really go balls deep into all the numbers so that we can kind of try to find some lines, try to find some ways to make some money on this fight, because it is going to be a damn good one. It's going to be a great card as a whole, and I can't wait to start breaking this down with you guys. We got Headley One already in the room saying that the Fisiev money line is so chalky over minus 300. I like the fight go to decision around minus 140. Green's last 9 fights over 5 years have gone to decision. And yeah, that's right. Green has went to decision in all the fights that I watched, and I watched quite a few of them today. Yeah, Bobby Green's definitely going the distance with people, and Fisiev is a guy who has been knocking people out on the regional scene and then winning by decision until the most recent fight. So, it's there's could be some meat on the bone here if you like the fight goes to decision, just a little bit juiced at minus 140, but yeah, you got to like the fact that Green's been to decision so many times recently here. Yeah, that's not a bad look there. And we got Juan Carlos in the room here saying, I have already 2,000 on Fisiev. What do you think? I think he's a lock, he says, Juan Carlos. You know, I think the line is super juiced, but I think it keeps moving. So, I guess it depends on where you got it, Juan Carlos, but I think Fisiev wins this fight. I think he's just going to be the much better stand-up guy. We're going to talk about his takedown defense, which has been fantastic thus far. And we're going to talk about the striking styles of both of these guys, as Bobby Green has kind of like a unique style, keeps his hands down, relies on head movement, and loves to counter. This could be a really interesting fight, man. But yeah, I mean, Juan Carlos, he's definitely a big favorite for many good reasons. There might be a bit of hype in that line. That last performance was out of this world, spectacular knockout of Renato Moicano. And Moicano is a high-level fighter, so that's a good win. I had a bet on Moicano the last fight, and the reason that I made that bet at plus money was I just thought it was a huge step up in competition for Fisiev to take. And not only did he win the fight, but he won it with style points against a guy like Moicano, who's very dangerous with his grappling. So sometimes that'll freeze people and not make them as likely to go to their striking, or likely to be as busy early because they're worried about being taken down. That wasn't the case with Fisiev. He was very comfortable, and he made quick work of Moicano. So a fantastic performance there. That he's coming off. So yeah, you're going to have to pay that tax. You're going to have to pay that little bit of an extra bump because he looked so good in that last fight. And in Bobby Green, he's fighting a grizzled veteran who has fought a ton of dudes, and who, even when he loses, is in very tough, tight fights. So yeah, this is going to be a good one, man. But I do believe Fisiev wins. Oh, and you got it at minus 275. Yeah, Juan Carlos, so you're doing better than most people right now, because according to my book, or at least one of my books, FanDuel's got it minus 320. So if you're beating the line movement, that is a very good thing. Always gives you a chance to hedge if you get cold feet too, which is a good thing. So if you beat it by quite a bit, so good thing there. And we got Hammer and Hog in the room. Hey, Weez Dog, big fan. Love your help. Thank you on behalf of all of us. Well, thank you for hanging out with us, Hammer and Hog. I appreciate it. I love talking about fights with you guys, and it wouldn't be the same if you guys weren't hanging out with me here. So thank you for showing up, and we're going to get balls deep into these stats. And let's start, like we always do, with the tail of the tape. And we got Fisiev, the younger man here. He is 28 years old, while Bobby Green is 34. Bobby Green going to be 2 inches taller. We've got a 71-inch reach, and Fisiev is a switch stance fighter. Bobby Green listed as orthodox, but Bobby Green switches stances all the time as well. Both of these guys, very crafty strikers. But obviously Fisiev on a slightly different level than anybody in this division at this point. His Muay Thai background is unquestioned. It's top level. And even in the UFC, in the fights that he's already had, we've seen him dominate the striking exchanges with some really good strikers. So we got Fisiev, the striking coach over at Tiger Muay Thai, and we got Bobby Green training out of Pinnacle MMA. Fisiev, as we mentioned earlier, the fighting pride of Kyrgyzstan, along with the Shevchenko sisters. And we've got Bobby Green coming out of the USA. So one of the things that really jumps off the page here is going to be the experience advantage of Bobby Green. Everybody knows this. While Fisiev is not new to fighting, as he's had a very well-decorated Muay Thai career prior to being a mixed martial artist. And also he's got some combat sambo background as well, if I'm not mistaken there. But we do see 39 professional fights for Bobby Green and only 10 for Fisiev. So a massive, massive experience advantage here for Bobby Green with a 27-11-1 record, and Fisiev is 9-1 in 10 professional fights. We've got about a 350-minute advantage in pro cage time for Bobby Green. We got a 10-minute average fight time for Fisiev. It's about 5.7. On the regional scene, man, Fisiev was starching dudes in the first round, so he was definitely getting people out of there early. And then we see the length of the pro MMA career, more than twice as long for Bobby Green, as we're at around 13 and a half years, while for Fisiev, 6 years, 0 months, 24 days. So we've got, let's see, the UFC experience for almost 4 times as much for Bobby Green. Not surprising. So, but even though what's interesting here is that you see about, I'd say about 37.5%, somewhere around there, of Bobby Green's fights have been in the UFC, at the UFC level. But even though Fisiev only has 10 fights, he's got 4 fights at the UFC level. So he's been fighting about the same percentage of his career at the highest level, while Bobby Green, it's 15 fights out of 39, 4 fights out of 10, kind of a similar percentage right there. And we see that Fisiev 3-1 thus far, while Bobby Green is 8-6 with a draw. We got about 170 more minutes of cage time for Bobby Green, and we got an average fight time almost 5 minutes longer for Bobby Green here. And when we look into the finish stats, we see that, Fisiev is knocking people out. 67% of those 9 wins coming by way of knockout. So 6 wins by knockout, 1 by submission, 7 of 9 wins inside the distance for Rafael Fisiev. While for Bobby Green, we've got 30% by knockout, 33% by sub. So 63% of his 27 wins are coming inside the distance. So, I guess what are we going to look at that? That's about 9, 18, 27. So, yeah, it's about 17 wins out of 27 coming inside the distance. Not bad at all. And especially at the UFC level, we're not seeing a big finish rate here out of Bobby Green. 8 wins, only 2 of them inside the distance. 1 by knockout, 1 by submission. While for Fisiev, we got 3 wins, 1 of them coming by way of knockout against Renato Moicano. And if we see how these guys lose, Fisiev only 1 loss. Spinning back kick to the head by Magomed Mustafayev. He got caught. It could happen to anybody. It was a pretty spectacular knockout. And we see Bobby Green has been finished 18% of the time by knockout, 18% of the time by sub, so a 36% finish rate. So that would be 4 out of 11 losses coming inside the distance, 2 by knockout, 2 by submission. And in his 6 UFC losses, only 1 of them have come inside the distance. It was by way of knockouts. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here before we get over to the striking statistics on this fight. And Hammer and Hog talking about how we go balls deep on this channel. I ain't lying about it. I mean, I break down fights for more than a half hour. I like to get into all the stats. And then the way I think that we do it here, balls deep, baby. We got Fizzy in the room here with Nick Alexander. What's going on, my man? We got my man Chris Kalanzis. Let's go, Uncle Weezy. Let's go, Chris. Let's go balls deep into these striking and grappling stats, because this is where we're really going to find the meat on the bone for this fight. This is going to be a good one. Bobby Green, in a nice little sample size of 15 UFC fights, we have got 10.12 offered per minute, 5.2 landed for a 51.33% striking accuracy. While for Fisiev, he's landing 4.67 out of 8.19 significant strikes a minute. And that is a 57% striking accuracy here. So we've got a little more accuracy out of Fisiev. We've got a little more power. We've got him landing one knockdown in 166 significant strikes landed in the UFC career. That's coming out to 0.6% of his total significant strikes landed are resulting in a knockdown. And that is 0.42 knockdowns per 15 minutes. While for Green, he's not showing a lot of power thus far in the UFC at about 0.2% knockdowns per total significant strikes landed. We got 0.15 knockdowns per 15 minutes. So yeah, Fisiev showing a little more power in a much smaller sample size. While for Green, I think we've basically got about 2 knockdowns and over 1,000 significant strikes landed. So not a lot of power in 15 fights. If we look at the defensive numbers, very, very impressive here for Bobby Green, and this is going to be important. He is landing 5.2 significant strikes a minute and only absorbing 3.4. His opponents are throwing 9.25 significant strikes a minute, so Green is throwing more volume, landing more, and he's got a 1.8 significant strike difference over his opponents. And man, that ratio is also very good. And I think it's very much a function of that 63% striking defense that I have highlighted right now. Bobby Green keeps his hands very low. And if you've watched his fights, you see how he does it. He counts on his head movement defensively to keep him safe, and he loves to counter. So he keeps those hands down. He waits for his opponents to throw, and then those punches come from a very strange angle. They're coming from around his belt level, and he's throwing uppercuts and hooks and straight lefts and rights, jabs, and he's very accurate. And he's got great head movement. However, he's getting a little bit up there. He's 34 years old right now, and boy, wouldn't you really rather see somebody keep their hands up when they're fighting a striker of the level of Rafael Fisiev? If you're just going to count on your head movement and being in the cage for 15 minutes with Fisiev, man, that is a very dangerous proposition, in my opinion. I don't really see that holding up for 15 minutes for Bobby Green, but hey, we've got a fantastic sample size here. So we can't ignore it, that he's got 63% striking defense. He's, landing significantly more than he absorbs, really showing great defense. While Fisiev lands 4.67 and absorbs 4.17 per minute, he's got a 55% striking defense, pretty good in its own right. Both of these guys have been knocked down. So one time in 148 strikes for Fisiev, it was in the Mustafayev fight where he got caught with that spinning back kick to the head. And Bobby Green in 684 has been he's been knocked down 3 times in 684 significant strikes absorbed for a 0.44% knockdowns per total significant strikes absorbed. So he's getting knocked down 0.22 times per 15 minutes, while for Fisiev in a smaller sample size, it's 0.42. So yeah, I think that Bobby Green's defense against a lower level of striking has held up really good in the past. But if you go back and you watch the first round of the Moises fight, he gets kicked in the calf a couple of times really hard. Moises lands some serious shots. Lando Venata had a lot of success in both of his fights against Bobby Green, landing some really good shots. And Venata's, not your traditional striker. He does throw a lot of spinning stuff and a lot of creative strikes. So Green did get caught quite a few times with some stuff there. He has been knocked down 3 times in 684 significant strikes absorbed. So that's pretty good for a guy like Fisiev, who's got that kind of power and that elite striking pedigree that could maybe find a way to crack the defense of Bobby Green, find ways to make him uncomfortable. I hope that neither one of these guys is just waiting for the other one to throw so that we can find out, like that it winds up being like a Sam Alvey fight where nobody throws because they're just worried about the counter punches coming from the other guy. Because Bobby Green is a very talented counter puncher, and we all know that Fisiev is just a straight up elite striking pedigree that he has. So let's see what we got up here right now. We got Juan Carlos saying, for you, what are your 3 preferred picks for this Saturday? The one I've got for my ass shaving of the week is going to be Johnny Munoz Jr. over Jamie Simmons. I'm feeling very comfortable about that one. And let's see. I like Menafield quite a bit over the 40-year-old Ed Short Fuse Herman. I'm a big Short Fuse fan. I love Short Fuse. He's one of the OGs of the sport. But he got really lucky in his last fight against Mike Rodriguez. I do see Menafield being the better athlete, being stronger, hitting harder here. So I do see him getting the job done here. And I do like Fisiev in this spot. And I think Gane is going to be a very safe bet for a lot of people. And if you're looking for a nice even money spot, I did a balls deep breakdown on the Chiesa-Luque fight, and we found some nice little lines there, Juan Carlos, where we were talking about if you're on the Luque side, take that plus 240 inside the distance. And Michael Chiesa at plus money, I think, is a really good bet. I think he's going to make this a very uncomfortable fight for Vicente Luque. And a Chiesa by decision line, I think, would also be very good as well. And we got Z's MMA, who I was hanging out with him on his live stream earlier today on his channel. Check it out. Not just MMA related. It was fascinating to hear Z talk about some pyramids, about ancient civilizations, a little bit about Atlantis, Antarctica, and showing his versatility as a human being. Not just the one-trick pony, not just talking about MMA. He's not just a beautiful head of hair either, man. Kid's got some serious chops. Z, thanks for hanging out, man. Appreciate it. We got Tajik Bey in the room. The GOAT of MMA betting right here, man. Thanks for hanging out, Tajik. I hope you find this to be an interesting breakdown of this fight because this is a really good matchup here. Z saying that the mic is mint. I got it in my face now. I got the logo looking right at my lips here, like you said last night, Z, that I needed to do. Hopefully the sound is coming through loud and clear. And we have fixed the microphone problems that I've been having on some of these live streams. So thanks, Z, for pointing that out. We got RJ saying, bit late, but I don't think Bobby can take Rafa's power. Well, yeah, dude. I mean, I don't think he can either, man. I don't think a lot of people can. If Fisiev lands clean, it's going to really hurt. And Bobby Green has faced a lot of skilled strikers, but I don't think he's faced somebody with the particular brand of striking chops that Fisiev has yet in the UFC. But we will go through the records of both of these guys in detail before we get to the stats here. I mean, before we get to the lines to figure out how we're going to make some money on this fight. We got Hammering Hog saying, bro, if Luque fights Chiesa 100 times, who wins more and by which margin? Okay, yeah. So I'm going to say like you're saying like 64-36 Chiesa. That to me, that's probably I would say maybe like Chiesa wins this thing 58-60 times, Luque 42-40 times, just because we haven't seen Luque be tested on the grappling side. So that's a big question mark. But what we do know is that Chiesa, in his massive sample size at 155 and 170 thus far in the UFC, over 2/3 of his fights take place in control time positions. And Vicente Luque, in my opinion, is at his best when he's striking at distance. Now, he's a very good grappler. He's got good front chokes. But Michael Chiesa is the kind of guy who you don't really get to use front chokes against because he tends to get to your back. That's just how he's made his living. He does it over and over again. And he's a nice fighter to bet on or bet against because he's predictable in his game plan and the way he executes it. And let's see, we got RJ saying, and pressure. Oh, yeah, pressure too is very big. The pressure, Fisiev is going to walk forward, and Bobby Green being a counter puncher, he might have to start counter punching from his back foot, and it'll be really difficult to handle. His angles that he takes will have to be perfect to be fighting off of his back foot effectively against a guy like Fisiev. Juan Carlos saying, thank you so much, Uncle Weezy. You're always helping us to make money. Hey, man, you're helping. Dude, I'd just be talking to my dog if you guys weren't in here hanging out with me. So I appreciate you hanging out, Juan Carlos. Thanks for hanging out here. Oh, damn, we got my man Monk MMA Maddox. Now, if you guys have not seen this dude's channel and the work that he does with numbers, he makes me look like a fucking amateur. You got to go check out Monk MMA Maddox channel on YouTube. Check him out on Twitter. This guy puts out more data points per fighter, and his spreadsheets make me look like an amateur. Check out his stuff. He does amazing stuff. There need to be more people watching your videos, Monk. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. I really appreciate it, dude. I'd love to talk to you sometime about what you're doing because I think it's fucking fantastic. And let's get into the grappling stats here for this fight. We got to look here because Bobby Green has had some nice little numbers thus far in the UFC, being able to get takedowns. And we'll go into it here in detail. But we know that Bobby Green has 15 UFC fights, and he's got 46 takedown attempts. He's gotten 20 of them for a 43.48% takedown defense. That's excellent. That is very efficient. He's getting 1.5 takedowns per 15 minutes, attempting about 0.3 sub-attempts per 15 minutes, and he's getting 18% control time thus far in the UFC. While for Fisiev, in his 4 fights, he's attempted 4 takedowns and gotten 2 of them. So he's also been efficient when he goes to the wrestling, but he's just attempting 1 takedown per fight, while Bobby Green is attempting about 3.5. So, or about 3, I'm sorry. So we got a 50% takedown accuracy here. He's actually getting just under 1 per 15 minutes is Fisiev. No submission attempts, and he's getting 12.34% control time. He's only being controlled 4.22% of the time, which is why Fisiev has had so much success outside of the Mustafayev fight, because really one thing that you want to see out of any elite striker is A, the ability to be able to not spend times in control positions, especially when your opponent is controlling you, because then you're not able to use your striking. And B, you want to be able to stop those takedowns when they do happen and stop them quickly. You can get a bunch of takedown attempts against you, not give up any takedowns, and still have your opponent accrue a ton of control time just by keeping your back on the fence. If you look at 16 takedown attempts here that have happened against Rafael Fisiev in only 4 fights. So his opponents are averaging 4 takedown attempts per fight. And remember, the fight that he lost, he lost in the first round. So really, that's 16 takedown attempts in 3 fights. So about 5.33 takedown attempts per fight. And he's only being controlled 4.22% of the time. And that's basically from the failed takedown attempts. So he is keeping the fight where he wants it over 80% of the time. This fight's Fisiev thus far in the UFC, the fights are taking place in the center of the cage at striking range where he wants it. So this is really looking like it could be a great spot for Fisiev if he can continue to do that against Bobby Green. So Bobby Green has been a very efficient wrestler thus far, though. 20 out of 46 on his takedown attempts. So in my opinion, the fighters that he's faced so far, Fisiev in the UFC, with Moicano, Diakese, White, and Mustafayev. Now, Mustafayev is a good grappler in his own right, but he caught him with a spinning kick. Alex White is a former wrestler. Diakese, more of a kickboxer. Moicano, really more of a jiu-jitsu stylist, but he gets takedowns when he goes for them, but he's not an active wrestler. So this is going to be, besides Alex White, the most active wrestler that he's seen. And if we go to the advanced stats here and take a much closer look at Bobby Green's career here, we can see the takedown attempts that he's been shooting off lately and seeing how much success he's been having. We see here over these last 8 fights, he's gotten a takedown in every single fight. He's gotten 16 takedowns in the last 8 fights out of 29 attempts. So, we're looking at an over 50, like around a 54% accuracy in his last 8 fights. He's been tremendously efficient with his takedown attempts, and he's not the kind of guy who's just shooting double legs or single legs. He will punch his way into range, get his arms around you, and he uses the body lock, and he's very efficient. Look at this. 2 for 3 in the loss against Moises. 4 for 6 after that. Three for 3, 2 for 3, 2 for 2, 1 for 4 in a loss here, and 1 for 5. And those were in against Drakkar Klose and Eric Koch. So really, it's been since 2018 since we've seen him not really have a lot of percentage success on the takedowns, really just being 2 for 9 right there. So 22%. But then after that, you see 4, 7, 11, 13 out of 18, 13 out of 18 in his last 5 fights. So Bobby Green's going to really need to be very efficient with his takedowns. I think he will be the first guy to take down Fisiev if he gets out of the first round of this fight, because when Bobby Green does go for takedowns, he really gets them in a great MMA way. He gets close, body locks, trips, sweeps, the kind of things that work a little bit better where you don't have to use as much energy. And Bobby Green has shown to have excellent conditioning. In all the fights that I've watched, this guy goes to decision way more times than he doesn't, and he's always in good shape. So, perhaps we have seen Fisiev slow down a little bit in the past. And if Bobby Green does go to a little bit more of a wrestling-heavy game plan and tries to make a higher percentage of this fight take place in control time positions, I think that's where you're really going to see Green thrive and Green have success, because he is a plus striker for sure. Green is, but I think he's going to be a little bit outmatched by Rafael Fisiev on the feet. I mean, Tiger Muay Thai is one of the best striking camps in the world, and this guy's the coach, And then not only is he the coach, but he's got 100% takedown defense. You guys, that's very important. That's what we want to see out of a guy that is really great at the striking. So 0 of 16 his opponents are in takedowns. Let's take a little bit closer look at who he's stuffed the takedowns against. So Fisiev, we see that the Mustafayev fight, we'll go over here to the defensive numbers. Yeah, and they're on the screen. That's good. So Mustafayev 0 of 0. We see that Alex White was 0 of 11 on takedowns. And then it was 0 of 4 and 0 of 1. So really, active wrestling was done by Alex White. And even in the third round there, I think he started having some success, landing some strikes. But you see here, he's had 148 strikes landed on him total, and Fisiev has piled up 166. He only landed 1 in the Mustafayev fight, but other than that, he's had excellent success with the striking. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Let's see. A Monk saying, appreciate you, Monk. Let's get it. I'll slide up in the DMs, man. I appreciate that, dude. I appreciate you hanging out with us here, Monk. I love what you're doing, man. Dave saying, Dave, dude, good to see you in here too, man. Hey, Weezy just woke up to this, and the new mic is sharp. Dude, actually, this is the old mic, man. This is the same damn mic, but now I just got it in my face. We kind of worked some things out with my guy Brady and Z. They helped me out a little bit here. I'm an amateur at this. Guys like Brady, guys like Z, they've been doing this a lot longer than I have. And you guys still are patient with me and hang out with me, and I appreciate that. But yeah, hopefully we've got the sound problems fixed from now on, and I appreciate you hanging out, Dave. And we got the DXJC56 in the room. Those takedown numbers are big. They show Bobby's starting to smarten up and use his wrestling. And he's getting a little bit older. And, you get sick of getting punched in the face. So, yeah, and if he's smarter in this fight, we're going to just see more and more of a commitment to that wrestling. And he can use his striking to set up his wrestling. That's what he's done so well in these last 4 fights that I've watched. Man, he just uses his striking to set up his wrestling, and it all flows together beautifully. And when he's doing that, he's getting his opponent to the mat. Now, he's not keeping them there for long periods of time, but he's definitely using that wrestling to win minutes. And boy, as a plus 250 underdog, 260, whatever he is right now, boy, if you can find ways for him to win 7.5 minutes of this fight, man, you got a chance to cash that ticket. So it's something we got to really pay attention to for sure. And let's see, we got RJ saying, yeah, Bobby wrestled since grade school. Yeah, he was a state qualifier in California and placed in state 2 years in high school. So Bobby Green's got a legitimate wrestling background, like I say. And so did Alex White, though. And he was 0 for 11 on takedowns. But, I think Green is a little bit smarter about using his striking to set up his wrestling. And his striking is far more dangerous, and especially the counter striking, than Alex White. So, yeah, that's a good point, though. And we got DXJC. I was already on the Bobby Green train. Man is way more game at plus 250. Now I'm starting to feel better about it, not just on a value basis. And yeah, there's value there. This guy is, we talked about the experience advantages too for Green. So Green's got a big experience advantage. He's got a big wrestling advantage here. It's just he's the older man, but he is very good defensively. So he does have a lot of the pieces that you want to see in a guy that's getting the kind of plus money that you're getting on Green. And that this guy has already fought the tougher competition, that he's got about 350 more minutes of cage time, that he's got a state level background in wrestling in California. And that he keeps fights close. We know that all Bobby Green fights are close. So yeah, when you get that combination of attributes in a fighter that's plus 250 or better in Bobby Green, it's not just interesting from a value perspective. You begin to start thinking maybe he has a chance and maybe he has a path to win the fight, but he's going to have to be very smart, because if this is just a 15-minute striking battle, boy, it's really hard to picture how Bobby Green wins this fight. So let's see what we got here now. We got Zor in the room. What's up, Uncle Weezy? Definitely think Green would be mad if he tries to keep it standing. His path to victory has to be through wrestling. Yeah, there's no question about it, man. It's got to be through wrestling. And he can use his striking to set it up. I think he can hang on the feet and win an exchange here or there with Fisiev. He is that good, but he can't just do it for 15 minutes. He's going to get caught eventually, or the leg kicks or body kicks will pile up. Green can be hittable to the body. To the head, it's tough, man. He moves his head so well. And we got Monk saying Bobby Green fights 70.6% at distance, while Fisiev spends 83.43% of his fight time at distance. That's what I love, man, because Fisiev is going to need to be at distance in order to have that, to be successful. That's 5/6 of the time, 83%. So we know that only 1/6 of the time is spent in grappling for him then. And in order for him to get out of that comfort level that he's in, we're going to have to see Green spend maybe a little more time than 29.4% fighting not at distance. Maybe it might need to get up to about 35-40% for this fight in order for Green to have a chance at success. We got RJ saying, watch Rafa's recent KO and think of what Bobby has observed. I can't see Rafa losing, at least on the feet. Well, of course not on the feet. Yeah, man. I think, like I said, I think Green can hang with him for a little bit. He can land some nice strikes, and they'll have a little bit of a back and forth for a minute. But, man, once Fisiev gets the timing, once he sees what Green's trying to do, I think he's going to settle in, and he's probably going to hurt him, And Headley one is saying dog or pass, or is Fisiev worth the chalk? I don't think he's worth the chalk at this price. I mean, Juan Carlos got him at minus 275. I think that's better. At minus 275, your implied probability 73, 74%. Up here it's getting close to 80. That's a 7% edge that you're losing there. You don't want to be giving away those edges too many times, because over a long enough timeline, you're going to get served when you're giving up edges to the bookies. So, we got to think of this as long-term gamblers, and I just don't see the value in Fisiev at the current line. Do I think he wins this fight? Yeah, I do. But would I bet it at this line? I couldn't get to it. Under rounds, in my opinion, that could be interesting, because both of these guys are very dangerous, but Fisiev in particular. Headley one saying Texas judging is crap. If this goes to decision, toss a coin. Boy, you got that right, man. Sometimes I've said in prior, prior broadcasts, if you will, that, if you think a fight's going to go to decision, and sometimes it's best to just get away from the money line, knowing that, hey, I have to not only count on that I'm going to have the right read, but now I have to count on, if I have a money line bet, that the judges are going to get it right. So maybe sometimes it's just easier to bet the fight goes to decision, let the judges get out of it and let the fighters do their job in the cage. And then at least then, the fighters decide whether your ticket cashes, which is the way it should be. And we got Monk saying, I'm on Fisiev this week. That 100% takedown defense is mighty tasty. It's exactly what you want to see, the exact attribute that you want to see out of a striker of Fisiev's caliber. So let's get into these strength of schedule numbers that I have for you guys here. Let's get that back up on the screen. And we can see the last 5 here. Bobby Green, 3-2 in the last 5. I thought he won that fight against Moises. It was a close fight, but Moises got the nod. We got Alan Patrick. That was pretty much he dominated that fight from pillar to post. He really uses grappling well. The Lando Venata fight was a very close fight, but he was good in that one too. That was a back and forth battle, though. They both landed some good shots, but I thought it was a good decision. I thought Green deserved to win that one. Big win over the veteran Clay Guida, one of the OGs, and to see Bobby Green go 3 rounds with the cardio king and Clay Guida, man, that was really impressive because Bobby Green showed that he had a lot of cardio as well, and that he can hang. His lungs can hang with the best of them in the sport, and Clay Guida is right up there. And then a unanimous decision loss to Francisco Trinaldo. And this is important, you guys, because Francisco Trinaldo at his heart is a top-level kickboxer, very much the same as Green's current opponent, Rafael Fisiev. That was a unanimous decision loss there. Very important. If you're on the Fisiev side, that's exactly what you want to see, is Bobby Green losing to the type of fighter of Francisco Trinaldo. And then we saw the big win over Nurzan Tutkaev. That dude was tough, man. Fisiev beat the shit out of him, but that guy kept coming. And then he got knocked out in his UFC debut by Magomed Mustafayev, who we haven't seen since, I think. Alex White, unanimous decision win. Mark G. Casey, unanimous decision win. And then a win by knockout in the first round over Renato Moicano. So very impressive performance there. If we look at the metrics that I have here for you guys, we can see that Bobby Green, the average opponent of a Bobby Green, the average record of a Bobby Green opponent, 7.53 wins, 4.53 losses, 12 total fights, and a 1.66 win-to-loss ratio when you strip out the Green fights. For Fisiev, he's got a slightly lower ratio, and he's fighting the slightly less experienced competition at an average record of 4.5 wins, 3.25 losses. And then if we look at the wins, we see that Bobby Green's wins are very similar to Fisiev, a little better ratio on Fisiev, but a little bit more experienced opponent for Bobby Green. So the average guy that Bobby Green beats has a record of 6 wins and 4.5 losses. And the average guy that he loses, or that Fisiev beats, has a 5.33 and 3.67 record. And then if we look at the losses, we see that Fisiev has lost to Mustafayev, who wound up 3-2 in the UFC. We haven't seen him since. So a 1 ratio there after you strip out the win for Mustafayev against Fisiev. And then we've got a 10.17 and 4.5 record is the average record of the guy that beats Green. So he is really losing to top-notch competition with 14.67 total fights on average and a 2.26 win-to-loss ratio. So Bobby Green really is losing to elite competition here. And Rafael Fisiev is only in his 5th UFC fight. Is he on that level? That remains to be seen. He's going to have to prove more. Has he been fantastic thus far? Absolutely. So if we look at Fisiev here, we see the loss to the 3-2 Mustafayev, and then wins over a 4-6 Alex White, a 5-4 Mark G. Casey, and a 7-4 Renato Moicano. And if we look at Bobby Green here, we see him come into the UFC in 2013 and gets a 4-fight winning streak over 6-4 Jacob Volkman, 9-4 James Krause, 0-5 Pat Healy. Pat Healy had a win stripped away for testing positive for marijuana. So it would have been nice to see Pat get that 1 UFC win and be 1-5. But a win over Josh Thompson, very impressive win. And then he goes on a 3-fight losing streak, losing to guys with a combined record of 41-15 in Edson Barbosa, Dustin Poirier, and Rashid Magomedov. We had a draw because of an eye poke, I believe, in the Orlando Venata fight. Wins over Eric Koch, 5-5. Wins over 16-14 Clay Guida. Orlando Venata in the rematch, and a 5-3 Alan Patrick. And then the losses came to Drakkar Klose by unanimous decision, Francisco Trinaldo by unanimous decision, and then Thiago Moises by unanimous decision, even though I felt that that was not. That should have been a split decision or maybe even a win for Green. The fight against Trinaldo, Green landed 50 out of 115 strikes. And Trinaldo landed 31 out of 122, but got a takedown. So, wow, maybe that fight wasn't as one-sided as I thought it was. But, yeah, unanimous decision loss nonetheless. So, these guys have both fought pretty good competition, but I would definitely give the strength of schedule edge and the experience edge clearly to Bobby Green here. Let's see what you guys are saying in the we got Dan Goldstein in the room. I'm betting this fight by violence at plus money, not the Fisiev side. Out of respect for Green's skill set and third round cardio and Fizzy's habit of dropping third rounds, but I think Fizz wins. Yes, that is going to be one of the most interesting little wrinkles of this fight is, does Fisiev slow down in the third round, and can Bobby Green maybe steal that third round from him, or maybe even hurt him or submit him? So that'll be very interesting to see. We just haven't seen Fisiev's ground game, period. Go back and watch the tape. Try to find this guy on the fucking ground somewhere. You're not going to do it. He just isn't there ever. So we don't know what it's going to look like if somebody does take him down. That's a piece of information that we just lack right now because nobody has taken this guy down, and maybe that continues. We got Monk saying he agrees on the strength of schedule. In the last 5, Fisiev strength of defeat is 0.82 out of 1, and Green has a 0.76 strength of defeat over his last 5. So, yeah, very close there, right? Yeah, I'd be interested to check out your metrics in terms of the strength of schedule, because that's something I've been struggling with in terms of trying to come up with a concrete way to weight wins and losses and strength of schedule of opponent. Yeah, I think it's such a great way to kind of figure out, who's on whose level and figure out those places that may be huge steps up in competition, because that's something that you really have to take into consideration as a gambler. Has this guy fought somebody on Fighter B's level before? And it's something that if you can get some kind of meat on the bone in terms of some stats that, where you can kind of weight wins and losses, it really helps when you compare them to each other. Thanks for that, Monk. I appreciate that. We got DXJC. Bobby's almost doubled all his opponents on significant strikes since the Coke fight. Seriously mind-blowing how he lost some of these fights when you just look at the stats. Yeah, man, I'm really kind of shocked because the Trinaldo one was he even out-controlled Trinaldo 223 seconds to 64 seconds, and then he outlanded him 50 to 31 in the significant strikes. So yeah, that looks like a tough loss on paper. I mean, I'll have to go rewatch that one again, but because I got through most of the fights, but not that one. So yeah, we've got Alex Ramirez in here, otherwise known as the General, taking notes. What's up, Alex? Thanks for stopping by, man. And we got Weezy putting up the content. Are you Pacific time zone? No, man. I'm actually I'm Midwest. I'm a Chicago guy. So yeah, this is now 11 p.m. for me. But I was not feeling well earlier today. I should have probably got on here much earlier. But then I was watching Z's live stream, and then I was watching the Club and Sub podcast, and I wanted to kind of get online before I went to bed tonight so I could get this one, which I had done all the research for yesterday, get you guys a balls deep breakdown on this fight, because I think it's a really fascinating fight. So yeah, thanks for hanging out, B. Appreciate it, man. If you think that one was bad, look at the close stats, 92 to 58, and he scored the only takedown. Are you fucking kidding me, man? I know this guy's had some bad decisions, but Jesus Christ, yeah, 92 out of 154. So that's like a 60% accuracy, 1 out of 4 takedowns, and he advanced position 5 times on the ground and had a submission attempt. And Drakkar Klose, 58 out of 131. So below 50% striking accuracy. He was 0 for 6 on takedown attempts, no submission attempts, no advances of position. He did not reverse position either. How the fuck does Close win that fight? I mean, god damn, I didn't watch that one either. I can't watch every fight. That's the thing, especially when there are so many that go to decision. But man, that seems like a robbery too. Well, and we talked about it. That's one of the things. That's one of the problems with betting Fisiev at the current line right now, which we're going to look at here, minus 320. How do you lay that kind of chalk against somebody in Bobby Green who doesn't really get finished and is in so many close fights? It just seems like, boy, he's going to have to look really good for you to feel good about that bet, even if you do cash it. Yeah, B's saying Green is not a can. He's definitely not a fucking can. I mean, dude, this guy's been fighting the top level lightweights for a very long time, and he's having success against all of them. We got Monk saying no such thing as too much good content. Z's awesome. Yeah, Z's the man, dude. I got a chance to work with him on last night on Pub Sports Radio. We got a new DraftKings show that we just did with Luke sparring with reality. Z's MMA, my guy DFS by the numbers, and me breaking down DraftKings for an hour. Go check that out on Pub Sports Radio if you haven't already. That was a really good show. It's great to work with those guys. B saying, appreciate your insight. I appreciate you being here. What channel is Z? It's Z's MMA. So it's ZEES and then MMA. And also check out Monk MMA Maddox channel as well. He's in the chat here. Dude does some amazing. If you think my numbers are good, wait till you see his numbers. They're incredible. And let's see here. We've got Monk saying outlanded Trinaldo 50-31 plus 1.27 significant strike difference, 2-1 takedowns landed, 25% to 7% control time loss. What the fuck? Yeah, on paper, that's just, what it could have been is, somebody lands the big shot in 2 out of 3 rounds, and that's what the refs or the judges score. But, we talked about it, man. We've got a fucking judging problem here in the UFC, and you're using, as my guy Alan pointed out in one of my live streams, they're using, a scoring system that's meant for 12 or 10 to 15 round boxing matches for a 3-round mixed martial arts match. It's just archaic. It needs to change. And, I think the sport is going to lose credibility while we continue to have these well-matched fighters go to decision and then have 3 random people who may or may not be compromised, deciding their fate and deciding who gets the win money. That's a lot of, it's a lot of training. It's a lot of work to put that in somebody else's hands. And Monk saying the DK show was awesome. I loved it, man. It was so good. And it's really helping me and Luke and Brady and Z kind of get ahead of the game too, because we have to be prepared for that show. We have to know something about all the fights. And especially with Stat Diggers, what I'm doing with Brady on Pub Sports Radio, that gets me ready by Sunday. So it allows me to be able to jump on, do these balls deep breakdowns for you guys, because I can just spend additional time now just watching the tape, because I just don't look into the numbers. You got to watch the tape too. We got Aldo in the room. What's up, dude? Thanks for coming in, Aldo. Appreciate it, man. We got B. Great gang you have. Yeah, dude. This is I'm really lucky. I've only been doing this for a couple of months, and the response has been fantastic. The people have been so supportive, and I've just really enjoyed chopping up these fights with you guys. It's so much fun to do. It makes me a better gambler. It's making me make better decisions, and my database is building. It's getting more and more chock full of information. I've got, I think right now, 530 fighters. They're complete UFC statistics in there. I'm going to start back testing and trying to find some analytics for you guys and start tracking some bets where I'm actually, handicapping these fights with putting a win percentage using predictive analytics to kind of start to flesh out these fights, because I never got to really use my statistics degree. I applied for a ton of jobs. I didn't get any of them. And I passed 3 actuarial exams, spent 2 years studying for actuarial exams so that I could get some kind of data science job. So you know what? I'm going to make my own job. I'm going to create analytics for you guys And we're going to use these analytics to try to take some money from these bookies and make some money gambling. So let me see. James C. saying, you think that decision is bad? We are in Texas Saturday. Tread carefully. I think the Texas thing is a bit of it's not entirely accurate because these judges travel. These are going to be the Vegas judges down there. I think it's going to be the same guys. So, and they travel to Florida too sometimes. So bad judging travels, my friend. It's not independent just in Texas. I remember we used to see some bad judging in Canada, some really, really hometown favorite calls up in Canada back in the day in the UFC. I mean, it just depends, something you never really know, man. We got Alex, we got the general taking notes. We got B saying, got to hit the pillow. We'll rewatch, keep on keeping on, man. I'm going to be hitting the pillow pretty soon myself, man. I can't wait to get some sleep tonight. We got Monk saying, whoa, you have a stat degree? Climbing up the ladder to slide into those DMs even quicker. Yeah, man, I do. I got a stat degree from what my fraternity brothers and I jokingly call the Harvard of the Midwest, Northern Illinois University. Go Huskies. So yeah, I do. And James saying, with only one Vegas judge normally there with two locals. Oh, okay. I didn't know that, James. Thanks for shouting that out. Yeah, it ain't easy being Weezy, says DFS by the numbers. Dude, it's even more difficult being him because, dude, Brady, if you think I put out content, this guy grinds as hard as anybody in the business. What's up, Brady? Thanks for joining us here. We're just about wrapping up. Let's look at these lines, man. Let's figure out here. I think that plus 245 on Bobby Green, there's value there. There's meat on that bone. I just can't touch Rafael Fisiev at minus 320. We got Fisiev by points at plus 130. Fisiev by KO plus 195. Now, what I would be interested in seeing, because we're not going to see Rafael Fisiev get a submission. So is there any value on the double chance the Fisiev by knockout or points is minus 300? So check that out, you guys. Right down here, you can get minus 300 if you like Fisiev and you feel like the line is passed you by. You don't have to pay up minus 320. You can get it for minus 300 and just hope that Fisiev doesn't sub Bobby Green. And boy, if he subbed Bobby Green, wouldn't that be something? I don't think. I mean, like Thiago Moises had Bobby Green in a leg lock and he got out of that. I mean, Bobby Green is not going to get subbed by Rafael Fisiev. So if you want a little bit of value, there's that double chance KO or points for Fisiev for minus 300. And we got Bobby Green at plus 240. The round betting, if you like Bobby Green's conditioning. Wait, what the fuck? Bobby Green to win in round 3 is plus 3,600? You guys, you got to get on that. Dude, plus 3,600. You could put $3 on it and win 100. Why not, right? Plus, is that right? That seems way off, you guys. Plus 1,400 for Green to win in round 1, plus 2,600 for Green to win in round 2, plus 3,600 for Green to win in round 3. And I know Bobby Green isn't a finisher, but we have seen Fisiev slow down in the third round. And usually a third round prop, even for an underdog, is somewhere around plus 1,400, plus 1,600, maybe plus 1,800, plus 3,600. That is a ton of value, man. That is crazy. I am going to be sprinkling Bobby Green in round 3. And if Bobby Green wins in the third round, there will be a party at Weezy's on Saturday night for any of you Chicago folks. We'll be tearing it up here with the bookies' money, because I'll probably put $5 on that just for shits and giggles, man. Will the fight go the distance? So they are expecting that this goes the distance. It goes to decision. Minus 146 there, plus 114 for not going decision. If you like the violence bet there, if you think Fisiev knocks him out, or the other way around, or, if Green, like I said, if Fisiev slows down in the third round and Green gets him out of there, plus 114 there. I kind of see this one going the distance like most Bobby Green fights have. And frankly, it seems like there's some pretty good value there at minus 146. That's pretty cool. And then we've got the double chance here. Like we mentioned, we can get a little bit of value on Fisiev if we just go KO or points there. We can get minus 300 instead of minus 320. Yeah, a couple percentage point edge there on the books. Over the long term, that really kind of adds up. I'm going to be betting Bobby Green to win in the third round at plus 3,600 simply because that line just seems so fucking out of whack that if you made that bet 100 times, you would probably get paid off. I mean, it really only got to break. If you made a $1 bet on that 100 times, you would only need that to come through 3 times for you to break even or even to actually make money. So yeah, that's not bad. I'm going to pick that just as a total flyer, a little throwaway, and then like I say, party at Weezy's if that hits. But I think the value here is on Bobby Green. I don't think I'm going to get to a bet because I do think that Fisiev wins this. But I might put a cheeky little sprinkle on that 3,600 in the third round. What are you guys thinking? They got Bovada has Green in round 3 plus 2,500. That's even wide. I mean, that's crazy, man. Let's see here. We got Brady. We've got the general saying what's up to Brady. We got Brady saying what's up to the general. We got B saying it wasn't taxes where that badge on Jones Dominic Reyes scorecard was. Oh yeah, that's right. And we got B saying it was in Texas. Where is that bad scoring on Jones Dominic Reyes fight? It was in Texas. I don't remember, but I thought Reyes won that fight. But when I went back and I watched it, I thought you could have given 3 rounds to Jones too. I thought that second round, you could have given to Jones. So I don't know, man. That was a really close fight. We got Monk saying, what do you think about a parlay? Fisiev gone. Yeah, I like it, dude. I think that if, it's hard to find value at minus 320, but a nice little, I don't like to do more than 2 legs in a parlay ever. And, but yeah, Fisiev and Gane, I mean, I just think it's good stylistic matchups for both of these guys. It's just that Fisiev it could be a little bit of a sweat. And my God, if it goes to decision, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe they even owe Bobby Green one and he loses this one. And they're like, fuck it, we'll give it to him. We fucked him over so many times in the past. So, yeah, I do like that parlay because, I think there's a path for Derek Lewis. I think Derek Lewis is a different matchup than Volkov and Rosenstruik were, in that those guys are both kickboxers. Derek Lewis is a brawler, and he may not make it easy for Gane to just kind of dance and pick him apart from the outside, because I don't think Derek Lewis thinks he's going to win a kickboxing match. I think he's going to maybe wait for his opportunity, and I think if he fucking finds Gane's chin, Gane's in trouble. However, I like Gane to win because he's so good at what he does. So yeah, I like that Gane Fisiev parlay. I think that'll cash. Bovada has Green round 3 plus 2,500. Bet Online has plus 2,000 for round 3 for Green. Yeah, so I'm gonna log in and get that right after I log off with you guys here. We got James saying I'm seeing plus 3,300 on my book. Man, that's fat, dude. For a guy like Fisiev who was actually slowed down in the past, I mean, I don't know how you don't take a shot on that. Chiesa is a boring lock, by the way. Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm not calling it a lock, but I will have a bet on Chiesa, whether it's by decision or just the money line, or I might sprinkle a little bit of both, but I'll probably have at least a unit by Chiesa. Texas was the Reyes fight, and it wasn't what it was scored. Okay. And we got, the general is taking notes as always. 49-45 or something ridiculous. I might be off. Wow. Brady and Weezy have the best prediction breakdown show on YouTube. I appreciate that, man. I absolutely love doing Stat Diggers with Brady. It's our baby. We brought that up from nothing. We created that show, and it's having great success, and I absolutely love it. I got the link to this week's Stat Diggers in the description for this video, along with the link to the matchup template here for all 13 fights coming up for UFC 265. Feel free to download it. You can check out all 13 fights on there. Use it to help make your gambling decision. Balls deep on Penny, Carolina. The answer will be no. on that twice, literally and figuratively. I will not be going balls deep on that fight or on either of those ladies. That's for sure. But yeah, that's an, I DFS by the numbers made some damn good points about Carolina, and he kind of likes the Kovacevic bet. He's not going to bet it, he said, because I think it's kind of like a 1-800 gambler fight. Carolina coming off a huge layoff. Penne was just coming off like a 5 or a 6 year layoff and basically lost that fight to Godinez, but got awarded the win. So I think it's going to be a sloppy 1-800 gambler fight. My favorite pick this week, the ass shaving of the week for your Uncle Weezy, is going to be Johnny Munoz Jr. That's my lock of the week this week. And we got Brandon saying, Uncle Weezy, sorry I'm late, but thank you for your work. Dude, thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. I went a full hour on one fight. And I know we talked about a bunch of other shit too, but thank you for hanging out with me, you guys. It wouldn't be the same without you guys in the room helping me break down these fights, because we bounce information off each other. We help make each other better. And I think it's going to help us, in the long run, make better money, make better decisions, take some more money off these bookies. Thomas Howard, what's up, dude? And B saying, allow a super chat. Maybe people may want to tip if you make people money. Yeah, I don't think I can get them until like the channel is monetized, but I appreciate that, B. That's nice of you to suggest that. But yeah, I'm not taking any donations or anything like that right now. I'm really just thankful that you guys hang out with me, that you watch my content, that you give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That means so much to me. I'm just getting started doing this, so I'm not asking anybody for any money or any donations or anything. All I ask is that when you're looking to learn about fights and watch some YouTube content, consider your Uncle Weezy as a provider of this kind of information. Keep watching Stat Diggers. Keep watching the new Tuesday night show on Pub Sports Radio with Luke and myself and Z's and Brady. Keep watching the main event deep dives I do on DFS by the Numbers channel. One of my favorite YouTube personalities out there, the guy that brought me in. Thanks, Brady. Thanks to all of you watching. Job bless each and every one of you. I am going to check out here. We got, I'll just put up the last few comments here. Thomas, we got James. Thanks, man. I appreciate you hanging out, James. We got Alex Ramirez saying Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Yeah, Brady's right there with you. And I think she wins the fight. I'm picking her to win the fight too, but it's just, I'm not betting it because we haven't seen much, we got one fight from both of these ladies like in the last 4 years. So, and we got B saying, don't do a balls deep on a girl fight, please, because I'm just gonna say it goes over. Yeah, because that would be like, yeah, that'd be me for a half an hour going, I love the over in this one. You guys already know that. Stat Diggers, best show in the biz. I agree with you, man. I love Stat Diggers. I think it's such a damn good show. Zor, thank you for hanging out. Thank all of you guys for hanging out. God bless. I will catch you on the next Balls Deep breakdown tomorrow. There will be at least one more this week. I don't know which one I'm going to do yet. Holler at me on Twitter if you got something you especially want to see me break down. I'm just going to have to say no to Brady here on the KK Penne fight. You guys have a great night. I will catch you next time. Thanks for hanging out.